This may seem strange, but I've always found Palm Sunday a bit difficult. I think part of the reason I find it difficult is because it seems odd to be celebrating, rejoicing, when I know what's around the corner, what's coming, what Holy Week entails, what has to take place before Easter Sunday arrives. I find the joy expressed on this day a bit overwhelming. I imagine the atmosphere back on the first Palm Sunday was like a stadium filled with expectant throngs of revelers. Picture tens of thousands of people waiting for a coin toss, a kickoff, or Taylor Swift to take the stage, but even more intense than that. After all, this wasn't just any king arriving in Jerusalem, but the king. The promised Messiah the people had been waiting generations to see. But come later this week, the atmosphere will change. The air will be sucked out of the room. We'll need to go through the same things the disciples did with Jesus and all that Jesus experienced: the waiting, the knowing, the waiting again, and the stone rolled away before we once again experience joy and are able to rejoice when the sun rises Easter morning. I think the other reason why I find Palm Sunday difficult is because I'm not a crowd person. I'm also, generally speaking, not someone who expresses joy openly, unabashedly. I'm not the type to go over the top. And it isn't just a handful of people who have told me from my youth onward that I'm too serious or always so serious, that it wouldn't hurt to crack a smile once in a while. I prefer to think of my approach as measured. If that means more serious, then so be it. Blame my life experiences. I think the second reason for finding Palm Sunday difficult is why I'm drawn to the particular moment in Luke's telling of the Palm Sunday story, where as the crowds celebrate Jesus' entry into Jerusalem, something unexpected happens. Some of the Pharisees in the crowd call out to Jesus, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." Order your disciples to stop. Now, just let that sink in for a moment. Why would they say that? And why would they refer to Jesus as teacher? The anticipation in the crowd is electric. It's palpable. Jesus is entering Jerusalem with his followers. They're celebrating him openly. They're spreading their cloaks on the ground, praising God for the mighty works they've seen. And they've witnessed many things. Blind eyes opened, lepers cleansed, demons cast out, even the dead raised. And that's why they shout, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." But how did the Pharisees react? With alarm. The crowd's public declaration that Jesus is king is dangerous. It threatens the religious establishment. It threatens the delicate peace that exists with the Roman authorities. And it's telling. It's disrupting, perhaps, to their own understanding of how they thought the Messiah would or should make his appearance. They use the word teacher. The Pharisees acknowledge Jesus has authority. They see him as a rabbi, but that doesn't mean he's more. They can't see him as more. They need to contain him. They need to be able to use words to describe him that they understand. They understand teacher, but not king, not Lord, not Messiah. I wonder if in some ways there are times when we're like those Pharisees. Do we prefer Jesus when we view him as we want to, only in ways that make us comfortable? Are we uncomfortable with unbridled celebration of who Jesus really is? Is it easier, better, more comfortable when responses to the divine are ordered, measured? And how does Jesus respond to the Pharisees? He makes a profound statement. "I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would shout out." What a powerful image. If the people, the crowds, the disciples weren't shouting, proclaiming God's power and crying out, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord," then creation would. Creation itself would recognize the significance of the Son of God entering Jerusalem and testify to who Jesus is. Jesus' true identity is so fundamental that if there were no human voices, they were all silenced or silent, nature would bear witness. We live in a world where talk of Jesus, testimony, witness, discipleship is often silenced. Sometimes it's because of external factors and pressure, and sometimes it's internal pressure. If we're honest, the silencing comes from within. We worry about how others might perceive us if we express our faith. And we compartmentalize. We allow Jesus to play a role in our lives, but only in certain areas. We silence the truths when they're inconvenient. We want Jesus, the teacher, in our lives. We want his guidance, but not Jesus who claims lordship over our lives. We want Jesus who offers comfort, but not Jesus who calls for sacrifice. We want Jesus who affirms our identities, but only if Jesus reinforces our divisions and doesn't break down the walls that divide us. The events of that Palm Sunday so long ago that we celebrate today serve as a reminder that the King has come. It's not anything like we might have expected. He didn't come with a big army. He didn't wield tremendous political power. He didn't conquer by force. He rode into Jerusalem on a colt, a donkey, and he came to serve, to be ransomed for many. The Holy Week journey will take us from celebration to despair to resurrection. In doing so, it challenges us to embrace the full story of our faith, and it invites us to ask, what part of Jesus am I silencing? You may not have an answer to this question now or in the days to come, and that's okay. Just like it's okay if we get it wrong. We misunderstand Jesus' teachings, or we fall short on our faith. We can and should take comfort in the words Jesus spoke to those Pharisees. The truth of who Jesus was and is will always be the truth. Creation will bear witness, even when we can't or won't. God's purposes will be fulfilled, whether we understand and accept them or we don't. The truth will be told because the stones will shout out. This week, may we find the courage to join those first disciples in their testimony. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven. Amen, and have a blessed week.